Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. And Hawks lose to the Boston Celtics 123-93 in a game where the defending champs came into State Farm Arena and showed everybody why they are the defending champs. A team that shoots an unbelievable amount of threes, makes an unbelievable amount of threes, and the Hawks just could not keep up with that pace as they ran away with this game based off the final score I just told you. Obviously, some big storylines coming out of this game for the Hawks tonight. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to another episode of Believe in Hawks. Definitely go ahead, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video. For all love and appreciation from you guys. Audio listeners, do the same thing. Leave a rating, leave a review on the pod so this can reach more audiences and more people can listen to Believe in Hawks as we talk about our Atlanta Hawks. And, follow me on Twitter, Bryce_2K. So, but yeah, big stories coming out of the game. So first thing is, before we get into the actual game itself, Trae Young left in the third quarter. They are calling it a rib sprain. He missed the rest of the game. I actually tuned out after the beginning of the fourth. But I believe Keith Wallace primarily played the rest of the way. I would think so. Which, I mean, Keaton, like I said, he's for what he's done in his short amount of time, really good work from him. But Hawks losing Trae is big. We have no idea how long this is going to take for Trae to get back. We don't know if this is a week-to-week injury, a month injury, just a couple of games. And at a time where a team like the Hawks have dealt with so many injuries, it is insane how unlucky this team has been when it came to injuries. It is crazy to see what this team has gone through when it comes to injuries, from the amount of guys who you coming into the season, you basically had everybody but Kobe Buffkin. And you've lost Hunter, you've lost Bogey, you've lost Trae, you've lost Vic, you've lost, like I said, you lost Hunter. And it's like, yo, we just keep having injury on injury on injury. And it's just like the Hawks right now, I mean, they may put themselves into a hole not because they're not good enough, but just because they just don't have bodies. They just don't have bodies. They don't have enough bodies. And they're getting some good performances from guys who wouldn't even be playing right now, as I mentioned in my last episode. But it's just not enough at the end of the day, especially when you play against the good teams in the league, because they got their guys for the most part. Like, when they have is against another team that has injuries like them. Outside of that, if a team's primarily healthy, the Hawks haven't won a game like that in a while. And like I said, it's crazy. It's super unlucky. It sucks a lot, because there was some excitement for certain fans coming into the season, and to see what's happened with this team ravaged by injuries, it just makes it tough. Like, and this is disheartening. It can hurt morale. How does this affect team morale? And like I said, it just feels like it's one after another. It's one after another. And biggest thing with the Hawks is when it comes to these injuries, you can't rush them. You can't say we're going to start putting out guys or rushing them back, because it's so early in the season. There's such a long season. You kind of want to be careful with these guys to make sure that they're not coming back still hurt and then risking a further, more serious injury. So in that situation, it's kind of like, they have to be careful with Trae right now. They can't say we need Trae to rush back and play. You have to be careful. When I researched the injury, a rib sprain, obviously I know athletes have state-of-the-art medicine, training, recovery, things of that. But when I looked it up, they said a rib sprain can be painful around for about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And sometimes it may take a full 6 weeks to get right. I don't think this injury is something like that's going to do that. But based off what it says 2 to 3 weeks to recover, 6 weeks maybe to fully resolve. Because basically they say it's an extremely sharp pain to the rib area, rib cage, sometimes caused by like the rib. What is it? The ribs are partially or completely pulled out of their normal position, causing damage. So I don't I don't know what that looks like for him. Like I said, because when you hear it, you think, oh, maybe this is like a game or two. But I mean, it may be. When they give us the diagnosis on an injury, we'll have an idea. But, you know, for Trae to, have this injury at this time, it's tough. And this continues to have the Cody Zeller situation loom over this team. And it just ends up screwing them so much. Ends up screwing them so much because you literally have a guy who we do not have any plans to be with this team, sitting at home, taking a roster spot, and you can't do anything because I don't have any official information on this, but from what I'm hearing, from what I've heard, it's Cody. If there's going to be a buyout, usually buyouts, there's a negotiation. We're going to pay you this much to buy out of your contract, and the player accepts it. Cody has a fully guaranteed contract. Cody don't want to give up all his guaranteed money. And so it's kind of tough right now for the Hawks because trade would probably be your best avenue if that's the case. But again, you have to find a team willing to make that trade with you, take on his salary, and then, you have to decide, well, what would we want back, right? But it feels like, again, with another injury, it feels like it puts you in a tough position where you have to do something now because you have just suffered another injury to your team. Your depth is already limited. Keaton Wallace is your only healthy point guard. You need another body in there. So I'm curious again to see over the next 24 hours, do the Hawks do something with Cody Zeller? Does something happen so they can get someone in there to help? Because really, I mean, your backup point guard at this point was Jalen, and he's ran the offense, and he had a good game tonight, which we'll talk about. But it's one of those things where the Hawks, man, it's tough dealing with these injuries for sure. Like, just the luck is unbelievable to not have the luck they've had, or to have the unluckiness that they've had with the amount of injuries to guys. And so that's going to be the big thing I think people are going to be waiting on, obviously. It's just what's Trae's diagnosis. How long is he going to be gone? Probably sure he won't play in New York. But is it something that we're going to have to do for a week, 2 weeks? What? Because Bogey's not getting reevaluated basically to the end of the month. Kobe ain't getting reevaluated basically to the end of the month. Vic Krejci is supposed to be reevaluated, I think, in a week. So maybe we'll get some new news for him. But again, reevaluation doesn't mean that they're ready to return. We have no idea what's happening with DeAndre Hunter. We don't have a clue what's happening with DeAndre Hunter. No idea what is happening with that man. So, which is the most mysterious thing ever, is that we have no information. We have gotten information on everybody else's injury but DeAndre Hunter. we don't know how, if he's close, if he's far, nothing. We know nothing. And so it's like I said, it's tough times. Tough times as an Atlanta Hawks fan right now, dealing with the injuries, and obviously compound that with the night you had against the Boston Celtics. It's tough. I mean, because when you go into the game, Trae only had 2 points tonight. I mean, he had a god-awful game tonight. I mean, that's what makes it suck, too, is that he had a bad game, then he gets hurt. I mean, I felt like early in the game, I felt like Trae was kind of forcing a little bit. I felt like he was kind of, I felt like, I wonder if he was kind of like, okay, we're playing Boston. I know I got to score. So he was kind of just trying to take some shots, knock some things down, and it wasn't working. Luckily, Jalen had a strong first quarter. Strong half, really, to begin with. But, I mean, Trae just did not help the team tonight. And, I mean, that's as simple as I can put it to you. He did not have a good game tonight. And so that obviously sucked, and that obviously wasn't great that was the case. But, I mean, I think if you're the Hawks right now, like I said, you got to worry about his health first and hope he can bounce back. Because, like I said, Trae didn't have a good game, and that hurt the team tonight. I mean, the Hawks had a lead when he came back into the game. and then they lost the lead again. They never got it back. So, like I said, tough for sure. Um, with all that's going on and whatnot. But outside of that, like I said, Jalen Johnson had a strong first half. Second half, quiet. I think he had 60 points in the first half. Finished the game with 20 points, 11 rebounds. You can kind of see him putting it together. I think a lot of people have said that. You can see Jalen kind of putting it together, having his second back-to-back game. But obviously, this was a game where you were playing a good Boston team. Obviously, he only played 31 minutes tonight. With the way the game went, it wasn't ideal. But, you could kind of see the Jalen Johnson thing and what he's doing. Not perfect or anything like that, but he's working. He's working. He's getting better. He's improving. And that's all you can really ask for. That's all you can really ask for in his situation as he continues to navigate through things and obviously hope for the best for him moving forward. As like I said, he looks to seemingly be the number one option now for the team. And we'll see how he does in a number one option role because he is going to be the best player on the floor for the Atlanta Hawks as long as Trae Young is off the floor right now. So Jalen, saw the playmaking again tonight. Saw him being aggressive, driving to the hole. A lot of shots at the rim, just being physical with Boston tonight. Was able to attack the rim, attack matchups, and was able to get opportunities and create points off of that. So obviously that's something you want to continue to see from Jalen moving forward, just attacking the rim, attacking the basket, going downhill, using his speed and athleticism to kind of create those opportunities for himself. Because that's obviously his best and most effective way of playing basketball. So, overall, Jalen Johnson, he's a guy who, we'll have to see how things go again as his role continues to change, develop, and everything under the sun. Shea had 15 points tonight, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 of 15 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. And Shea's kind of had this thing. He made some good plays, a couple of reverse layups and one, hit a 3. He's had this thing in his games, and I don't know if you guys have noticed the pattern, where he'll hit a shot early, and then he kind of just is non-existent offensively sometimes in these games. In the first half, damn, I must be tired. In the first half, I mean, he didn't have the greatest half. Boston was attacking him, stripping him, creating turnovers. They made him turn the ball over multiple times in that first half. He only had 2 turnovers in the game, but I mean, they were kind of, make it a little difficult for Shea. And so, obviously you like to see him improve, like to see him get better. I know some people have been frustrated by his play. Again, guys, you got to be patient. And I've said this multiple times, just about anything. Development isn't cute. Development isn't sexy. Development sometimes isn't fast. It sometimes takes time. You got to go through the growing pains. You got to go through the struggles before you can see the diamond. You see parts of the diamond with Shea. You just haven't seen the diamond yet because he's not at that point yet. But eventually, I believe Shea will get there. And so, and at the end of the day, I think these starts are kind of showing why the Hawks still start DeAndre Hunter for the most part, Because, I mean, DeAndre Hunter, I mean, outside of the things we don't like about him, I mean, he just is an NBA experienced player, so he knows how to play the game. Shea is still getting better, learning, and improving. Right. Dyson Daniels tonight started off kind of hot, didn't score again for the rest of the game. Started off with 8 points in that first quarter, was aggressive, driving the ball. Really like to see that from him. Let me talk about him for a second, because people over here trying to get on him, talking about, oh, he ain't an elite defender, he ain't this, he ain't that, whatever, right? But I think people, okay, So we talk about Dyson. We talk about how good of a defender he is, right? So Tatum had a big game tonight, right? Right. So people were obviously using that as Dyson's not no elite defender. Dyson ain't this, Dyson ain't that. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, guys, the greatest defenders in NBA have all been cooked before. They've all had 30 dropped on their head before. You are dealing with some of the most talented and skilled basketball players in the world. We sometimes like to associate defensive, you lock somebody up to 2 points. That's not always what elite defense is. Elite defense is impacting the game defensively, which Dyson does impact the game defensively. And so it's weird to me to see people talk about him like, he's not an elite defender because Jason Tatum scored threes on him. I'm like, what? Is that what we're judging that based off of? Jason Tatum scoring? Like, Jason Tatum's not one of the best players in the world. Like, you don't think teams during LeBron's prime put their best elite defenders on them and he still dropped 30? Like, that's ridiculous to sit here and try to discredit this man. Because you have those Hawks fans that are trying to discredit him and his defense. Like, we're overhyping it. Overhyping it? He's the best defender we have. What do you mean overhyping it? It's pretty clear he's the best defender we have. Everybody and mama knows he's the best defender we have. So what do you mean we are overrating, overhyping his defense? The man is out here he's making it tough on these guys. Because they always say, if you make it tough on a guy and they just neck down shots, you just say, hey, great shot, and you keep it moving. And Jason Tatum did that multiple times tonight. So this impression that if he plays elite players in the game, if he's not shutting them down, he's bad is crazy to me. Like it's stuff like that irritates me because it's almost like you're just being literal. You're not actually looking at the game and thinking, okay, so what is he doing? Who is he playing? You don't think teams are putting the best players on Kyrie and Luka and Giannis and KD and all these guys. We have elite defenders in this game, and they're putting them on those guys. And you think all those guys are still having 15, 12-point nights? No, you might get a night out of them where Dyson may be able to lock them up for that. That's definitely something that's possible. But a lot of the time, they may still get 22, 24 points. So to me, it's like to say that and to try to discredit him because, like I said, we have this weird thing with Hawks fans right now and Dyson Daniels is crazy to me. It's crazy to me, man. And listen, Quinn Snyder said it after the game. The team's kind of worn down right now. The team is worn down right now. And it makes sense because you have to think about it. When you have these injuries that you have had to guys, and Dyson was one of those guys. He had missed a couple of games. It puts so much more on the guys that are playing. And I think Quinn knows that. Like, if you watch the game tonight, a lot of shots were short. Usually that's a sign of tired legs. You just came off a back-to-back. You've had to play a week now with injuries, and so a lot of guys are having to play more minutes than they want or have to play more minutes. And that's affecting players. And the Hawks are trying. They are trying out there, but sometimes the circumstances are just too great to overcome. Right? So, we'll have to see what happens. I just wanted to say that and say that about Dyson because we got to stop with that. I'm not going to sit here and say my best defender is bad because he can't stop Jason Tatum. Like, Jason Tatum has cooked everybody in this league. What are you talking about? Like, what? All right, bro. Obviously, usually when the Hawks play Boston, Clint Capella usually doesn't play a lot in these games because he's just not a good matchup. He only played 17 minutes tonight. Really didn't give you anything. Clint, it's funny to say about Clint. I feel like Clint has regressed. And what I mean, because I just, obviously we've seen him not be as good, obviously, from his first year when we made these kind of finals. But it just feels like he just don't have it. It feels like he ain't what made Clint Capella isn't there right now. Like it feels like he's not Clint Capella. And I don't know if that's an in shape thing. I don't know if he's just regressed because he's older, legs are getting worn out. I don't know. Clint just don't look. Clint doesn't look great to me. He doesn't look good to me right now. I mean, he's helped defensively because they're better defensively when he's on the floor. But outside of that, he really isn't giving you anything. He's not even getting you 10 rebounds. Like one thing about Clint is even if he give you 4 points, he'll give you 10 rebounds. He ain't even getting you 10 rebounds. I don't even know if Clint's had a 10 rebound game this year. If he has, he's probably had one. I don't think Clint's had a lot of 10 rebound games this year. And I know he's playing less minutes because they're giving more minutes to a Kongwu, but I mean that's something that usually is his specialty, and I haven't seen that from Clint. So, you know, David Rodney tonight, 11.6 rebounds, 3 assists, played fine. I don't get it. Brad Rowland brought it up, and it makes sense. Why does this man? He's one of your worst defenders, but when Jalen comes out the game, or even if Jalen's in the game and Dyson comes out the game, they seem to put David Rodney on Tatum's and Ingram's and Fox's, and it's like, what are we doing? Just put Jalen on him. Like, I don't know if that's a foul trouble thing. He'd rather get David Rodney get fouls, but that's not a good defensive matchup for your team. So, and David, he tries. Roddy tries, but that's usually never a good matchup of David Roddy is guarding the other team's best offensive player. So just something that I was like, yeah, why does he guard those guys? Garrison Matthews was okay tonight, 2 or 3 from 3. He didn't take a lot of shots tonight. He was fine. He gave you 10 points. I mean, look at that's still good. Garrison Matthews has been productive when he's came off the bench, which is exactly what you would want from him. So obviously big for Garrison to continue to play well. Kongwu, and this was a game I said early, if the Hawks are going to win games against Boston or against this type of team, Jalen and Kongwu have to finish the game. You basically got 38 points and 21 rebounds from both Jalen and Kongwu tonight. Kongwu had a good game tonight. 18 and 10. That's what you would want from him against Boston. And there was times you could see the Hawks running some actions for a Kongwu to go at Boston. And, it sucks that this was a night that really didn't mean much in the grand scheme, but he had a good game. Keaton Wallace, man, defensively, man, he was putting in work defensively. Keaton Wallace, man, effort, high energy player, high effort player. Continues to put in energy, continues to put in just the work, defends, everything. And it's going to be an interesting situation for him. He will probably start at point guard next game. He will probably be your starting point guard. So I am very curious to see. Now he's going to have to up the minutes to potentially maybe 30. Again, we don't know what they're going to do with the backup point guard situation. If they're going to add somebody or they're just going to have to go into it with one point guard. But Keaton Wallace, man, defensively, I mean, Keaton Wallace, they were better on the floor when Keaton played. Let's just be honest. Like I said, going back to Trae, they took Trae off the floor late in the second quarter because they were better on the floor when Keaton was on the floor. And now he's going to be the main point guard running the show until we know how long Trae's out. I'm excited to see what he could do, though. I mean, he has been a fantastic surprise for this team. And like I said, everybody's going to ask the question. It'll be interesting to see what they do when Kobe gets cleared because Keaton has definitely showed he deserves to be in the rotation and can only continue from this point on to continue to show that he deserves to play. So big for him. And obviously, Bogut and Barlow got some run at the end because the game was out of reach. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Though they moved Cody Zeller, I would assume Barlow would potentially be on the roster more often. But yeah, so that's where we are right now. Hawks are in dire straits. They play the Knicks on Wednesday. No games on Election Day tomorrow, Tuesday. But it's going to be tough sledding from here. It's tough sledding. Quinn says they're worn down. Trae's hurt. feels like everything is going bad early in the season for this team. So we'll obviously try to keep up with it. We'll obviously try to see how they navigate it. And we'll have to hope for the best moving forward. I know a lot of Hawks fans are getting solace in the fact the Pistons beat the Lakers because obviously the Lakers don't have a great year. That means they will have a lottery pick and a very strong draft class coming up. So I think that's something a lot of people look forward to, obviously. But we'll have to see what happens with guys with the Hawks with all the injuries. Leave your thoughts down below on what you think. What's next to this team? And we'll just kind of go from there. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Believe in Hawks. Thanks for bearing with me. A little tired this episode, but we made it through. We chucked through just to give you guys the content, cover this team like I know you guys come to this channel or page or podcast to listen to me do. So I appreciate you guys for the show. But that's all I got for you guys. You should Believe in Hawks podcast. I'll see you next time.